Hello everyone, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today, we are diving into a love story that is more than just romance. It's about how love endures through time, distance, and misunderstandings. It's the story of James and Tu Diep, whose love was tested in ways they never expected. Can their hearts find their way back to each other? Will they make it to the altar? Let's find out. The sun was setting over the quiet streets of the small town where Tu Diep had spent most of her life. The warm golden light bathed the trees and rooftops, casting a dreamlike glow over everything. But despite the beauty around her, there was no peace in Tu Diep's heart. It had been years since James left without a word, leaving her standing at the crossroads of a life that no longer felt familiar. The love they once shared, full of promise and hope, now seemed like a distant memory, fading more each day. She still remembered the last time they were together, his soft whisper that he would return. But as the years passed, his absence became an unbearable void. The silence between them grew louder than any words, and despite her efforts to move on, James's memory lingered like a song she couldn't forget. Then, one day, a letter arrived. It was simple, unsigned, but the words were unmistakable. "I've come back. Will you forgive me? Will you still marry me?" Her fingers trembled as she read those words. James was back, after all these years, but a question echoed in her mind. Was it too late? Had too much time passed? Did she still have the strength to walk down the aisle in that wedding dress she once dreamed of wearing for him? James's return was more than just a physical journey. It was the confrontation of his own regrets. Stepping off the plane, he carried a heavy heart. The years away had not dimmed his love for Tu Diep, but they had filled him with remorse. When he left, he believed it was the right thing to do. His family, responsibilities, and career all seemed to weigh heavier than his love for her. But the farther he went, the more he realized that the only thing that truly mattered was her. He had tried to move on, to bury his feelings, but they never went away. Every day he missed her. Tu Diep had been his everything, and now he had to make things right. But would she want him back? Could she forgive him for the hurt he had caused? Tu Diep stood by the window, her thoughts a whirlwind. When she first heard that James had returned, a mixture of hope, anger, and fear stirred within her. Could they really be the same people they were before, when love felt so easy, so pure? The memories were still there, his touch, his laughter, the promises they made. But so was the pain of abandonment. He had left without a word, and now, years later, he was back. Could she trust him again? Could their love really overcome the hurt and uncertainty? James and Tu Diep met in the same small cafe where they had shared so many memories. When their eyes locked, time seemed to stop. James could see the hesitation in her gaze, the wall she had built around her heart. He knew he had no right to ask for forgiveness, but he had to try. "Tu Diep," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I've made mistakes. I've hurt you in ways I can never undo. But I want to try again. I want to spend my life making it up to you." Tu Diep's heart fluttered. She had dreamed of this moment for years, but standing before him, she felt unsure. The years without him had changed her in ways she didn't fully understand. Was she still the woman he had once known? Could she still love him the way she used to? "I don't know, James," she whispered. "So much time has passed. Can we really go back to the way things were?" James reached out, his hand trembling as he gently held hers. "We can't go back," he said softly. "But maybe we can create something new together." Tears welled up in her eyes. The truth was, she didn't want to live a life without him, but she couldn't forget the hurt, the loneliness, the fear. She had to know that he was truly here for the right reasons, not out of guilt or obligation. As the days passed, James and Tu Diep navigated a delicate dance of rediscovery. They talked about the past, about their hopes for the future, and slowly, piece by piece, they rebuilt the trust that had once been shattered. Then, one evening, James took her hand and led her outside under the stars. He looked at her, his gaze filled with love and regret. "Tu Diep," he said softly, "will you marry me? Not just because we were once in love, but because I want to spend every moment of my life making you happy." Tu Diep looked at him and, for the first time in years, she smiled. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but love never promised perfection. It only promised the courage to face the unknown together. "Yes," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, I will marry you." And just like that, their love, stronger, deeper, and more real than ever, began its new chapter. Their wedding did take place, not because it was easy, but because their hearts had finally found their way back to each other. James and Tu Diep learned that love, like life, is full of twists and turns, but when the heart waits for the right person, no distance, no time, no obstacle can truly keep them apart. Stay tuned for the second part of their journey, where we will witness the emotions and decisions leading up to their wedding day, the culmination of their love story. As the wedding day approached, Tu Diep found herself caught between excitement and apprehension. The days leading up to the event were a whirlwind. Fittings for the dress, finalizing the venue, and attending to endless little details. But despite all the preparations, there was a quiet uneasiness lingering in her heart. The love between her and James had rekindled, yes, but doubts still clouded her mind. Could their love survive after so many years of separation? Could they truly build something lasting, or would their past continue to haunt them? James, on the other hand, threw himself into the preparations with all the passion he had once poured into their relationship. His eyes always lit up with that familiar spark whenever he looked at Tu Diep. He had lost her once, and the thought of losing her again was unbearable. This wedding had to be perfect. It was his way of proving not just to her, but to himself, that their love was worth every sacrifice he had made to get to this point. The night before the wedding, Tu Diep found herself alone in the quiet of her room, gazing out of the window at the starry sky. She had spent years trying to forget James, trying to move on. But deep down, she knew that no matter how much time had passed, no one could take his place. Yet, even as she embraced the love they had rediscovered, a part of her was still afraid. What if things didn't work out? What if, after all these years, he was still the same man who had left without any explanation? She tried to push the thoughts aside, but they clung to her like shadows in the night. Just then, she heard a soft knock at the door. She turned to see James standing there, looking every bit the man she had fallen in love with, except now, he was a man who had returned from the depths of regret, desperate to build a future with her. He took a hesitant step forward. his voice softer than she had ever heard it before. "I thought you might need some company tonight," he said, holding out a small box. "I know we've been talking about the wedding, but I wanted to give you something personal, a little reminder that no matter what happens tomorrow, I'm here with you, for you." Curious, Tu Diep took the box from his hands, feeling the weight of it. When she opened it, she gasped. Inside was a delicate silver locket, engraved with their initials and the date they had first met. "I know it's not much," James continued, his voice barely above a whisper, "but this is my way of saying that I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving you this time, Tu Diep." Her breath caught in her throat, and for the first time in a long while she let her guard down. In that moment, she realized that no matter how many doubts she had, she couldn't deny the depth of her feelings for him. James had come back, and he was ready to fight for her. That was all that mattered now. The wedding day arrived, and it was everything Tu Diep had dreamed of. Everything but the nerves. The sun shone brightly through the windows of the small chapel, casting a warm glow over the guests who had gathered to witness the union of two people who, despite everything, belonged together. Tu Diep stood at the entrance of the chapel, waiting for the music to start, her heart racing. She was no longer the girl she had been when she first met James. She had grown, learned, and healed. But one thing had never changed: the way she loved him. As the doors opened and the music swelled, she walked down the aisle, every step feeling both surreal and familiar. James stood at the altar, his face a mixture of awe and relief, his eyes fixed on her as if she were the only person in the room. She saw the same love in his gaze, the same commitment that had once drawn her to him. When she reached him, he took her hands in his, and for a moment neither of them spoke. The years of pain, the uncertainty, the fear, it all seemed to fade away in that single moment. All that remained was the love that had endured through it all. "Tu Diep," James whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "I know I don't deserve you, and I've hurt you more than I can ever make up for, but I swear to you with every fiber of my being that I will spend the rest of my life making it right. Will you marry me and make me the happiest man alive?" Tears welled up in Tu Diep's eyes as she looked into his. This was it. This was the moment that would define their future together. "Yes," she said, her voice steady and strong, though her heart raced with the magnitude of what she was about to do. "I will marry you, James, with all my heart." The ceremony proceeded, and as the vows were exchanged, it felt like the world around them disappeared. There was no past, no regrets, no questions. There was only the promise of the future, the hope that together they could build something beautiful. When they exchanged rings, James looked at her with a smile that reached his eyes, the same smile that had once made her fall in love with him all those years ago. Then, as the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, James leaned in and kissed her, sealing their love with a kiss full of promise and renewal. Their future together was just beginning. The days that followed were filled with joy and laughter as James and Tu Diep embarked on their new life together. Their wedding had not only been a celebration of their love, but also a celebration of their journey, of the struggles they had overcome, the pain they had endured, and the love that had brought them back together. Though the road ahead would never be without challenges, Tu Diep knew with certainty that this time they were ready. James had come back, not just as a man asking for her forgiveness, but as a partner who was ready to face life's ups and downs with her by his side. As they built their future together, one thing remained certain. Love, in its purest form, had the power to heal and rebuild what was once broken. The story of James and Tu Diep is a journey of love, forgiveness, and second chances. After years of separation, James returns, hoping to start over with Tu Diep, who still carries the pain of his departure despite trying to move on. Although filled with doubts and fears, they decide to embark on a new chapter, starting with James's heartfelt proposal. Together, they navigate challenges and eventually get married. Their story shows us that no matter the obstacles, love can triumph if both are willing to rebuild from the beginning.